If you need an exterior storage solution for your adventures, whether you're taking your 2010 through 2024 Toyota 4Runner on a full-blown overland expedition, or just a smaller camping trip with the fam, this N-Fab Modular Roof Rack in textured black is a great mod to consider. Now, interior storage space for any type of trip can be very limited, especially if you're bringing passengers with you, and this system allows you to organize cargo on top of your 4Runner very easily and has some solid anchor points for all types of cargo, and even has lighting provisions for the front and the back if you know you want to add some off-road lighting up top. What's also great about this is that it's more of a half rack system compared to other larger options. So if your 4Runner has a sunroof and you don't want to obstruct it with a full rack, but rather enjoy both the more open air feel and some better storage, then this is a good choice to do it with. This has a half rack style design, as I mentioned, but still has a good amount of room for whatever you can come up with, whether it's cargo boxes, mounted accessories, thanks to the anchor points, or just some extra gear. Now, this doesn't have a true basket style setup, but does have some higher edges on the sides for some reassurance that your cargo is not going to shift off of the rack, and those side rails have some laser cut designs that both make the rack look cool and provide some tie down solutions. Now, the front also includes a wind deflector to help keep noise to a minimum, and on the front and back of the rack, this has multiple slots and holes for lights, and because of the number of mounting points, you're able to get very creative with how you want to configure them. Now, this is made of a heavy-duty aluminum construction, so not only is it tough to hold up to whatever you're mounting on it, but it's also lighter weight than steel options if you're conscious about the weight that you're adding to your 4Runner. Now, that also makes it easier to remove if you don't want to keep it on there all the time, which gives you the flexibility of using this really whenever you want to or whenever you need to. Now, to protect the aluminum from corrosion, this also has a black powder coat finish, and it adds some off-road or a more rugged charm to the rack as well. Now, this is also a complete bolt-on construction, so you don't have to do any drilling or modification, and it comes with all of the hardware necessary in order to do so. Now, this is about $800, being fairly average in price for what it is. Now, this is more of a half rack style setup, offering additional storage space without limiting other areas of the 4Runner, like the sunroof, for example. And it has customizable features on each part of the rack, including the crossbars and the front and rear supports. Now, others of this style may not offer some of those additional features if you don't necessarily need them, but if you want the ability to customize your lighting and accessories, endless amount of options, then this is a solid choice to consider for a roof rack. Install here is a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and mostly consists of assembly, so it's probably going to take about an hour or so in order to install this. Now, at this point, I'm going to hand it over to one of our installers. They're going to show you a detailed breakdown on how you can bolt this up to your 4Runner at home. So that's going to wrap it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, plastic pry tool, 10mm wrench, a tape measure, 13mm socket, and 4mm Allen socket. What's up, guys? Today we're installing a roof rack on our 4Runner, so let's get started. So the first thing I've done is lay out all my pieces for the roof rack. We've got our front, our rear, and our sides. And then in the middle, we have 6 crossbars. They are all stamped 1 to 6. One's gonna start in the front, 6 is gonna be back here by our rear one. So we've got bolts, flat washers, and flange nuts that we're going to be using to install all of these. So we'll start at the front. So now I'm going to start with my number 1 crossbar. Those are going to be mounted up to the very front holes. So I'm going to lay that on top. I'm going to take my bolt and flat washer and go down through that hole, and then I'll get a nut on the bottom. Do the same thing on the other hole. Now we're just gonna leave those bolts hand tight for now. So once you're done with one, do the same thing going all the way down the bar with your number 2 through 6 bars. So now with all of our crossbars installed, we can install our front and our rear. Now this has 3 holes. We're using the same hardware, we've just got an extra set. Just grab your bolt and flat washer, line this up, and then get that flange nut on the other side. Do the same thing for the other 2 holes. Now we'll move on to our rear bar. we've got this hole for the top, and then we've got 2 holes for the bottom. This piece is gonna sit on top of our side rail, and then you can drop your bolt and flat washer in and get your flange nut on the other side. And now with all of our hardware installed on one side, we can connect the other sidebar. So now we can connect our other sidebar. Now we want all of these bars to be on the inside edge of this sidebar. I would start with the front. This bolt right here is gonna be the most difficult, so I would get that out of the way first. So I'm just gonna lift all of these, slide it in. So now I'm gonna get that bolt and nut in that front hole first. And now you can just repeat that same process going all the way down your other sidebar. So now we need to slide our mounting brackets into the channels in our factory roof rails. Now we're gonna need to pop this plastic cover off at the rear. So grab a plastic pry tool. You've got 2 clips on each side. So I'm gonna start on the outside, pop those 2 clips off, and then we can slide it backwards to pop it off. And now with that removed, we have access to our T-channel here. We're gonna be sliding in these brackets to mount our mounting brackets to. Now it's a lot easier if you install these first and then slide it in as a whole assembly. So that's what I'm gonna do. Our brackets are gonna sit like this with those bolts facing upwards. So I'm just gonna put that piece on the back and take my bolts to thread into that threaded hole. So take your bolt, thread it into the threaded hole in the bracket. We're just gonna get it in a couple threads so that we still have a gap there to slide it into our channel. We're gonna do the same on the other side. Remember that you want the studs sticking up. Slide it into your rail, and then I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. That one's gonna go down towards the front. This is gonna be the one that stays at the rear. And then with both of those installed, you can pop your plastic cover back on. So just line it up and then just give it a couple whacks. And then repeat that process on the other side. Now we need to space out our brackets. So from the rear plastic, our rear bracket is gonna be 1 3/8 inches. That's gonna be to the first point here. So I'm gonna take a tape measure and measure out 1 3/8. Slide it into place and then tighten it down. 13mm socket for these bolts. Now on the front, we've got 2 3/16 of an inch from the plastic to the first part of the bracket. Slide that into place. And then once again, 13mm socket to tighten these down. And then repeat that process on the other side. Now I got my buddy to help me lift this on. So now these slots on our number 6 and number 2 rail is where those bolts are gonna pass through. So now with all of them in place, thread your nuts onto those studs. And then take a 13mm socket, tighten them down, and do the same for your other 3 corners. Now with our rack fully mounted up, we're gonna take a 4mm Allen socket and a 10mm wrench and tighten down all of those bolts that we put in hand tight to begin with. And now repeat that process on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the N-Fab Modular Roof Rack in textured black for your 2010 and newer 4Runner. Thank you for watching, and for all things 4Runner, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.